Thank you all for joining. So it is my pleasure to be here with you today, and I will be sharing with you the work of the One Drop Foundation, and I will focus mostly in our recent program that we have in Latin America. So I will start. So in the One Drop Foundation, we truly believe that water has the power to unlock development, right? And as the General Secretary of the United Nations recently mentioned in the past UN 2023 Water Conference 2 weeks ago in New York, if we don't achieve SDG 6, it will be very difficult for us to achieve any other SDG. Right, so I think water, it should be at the center of the agenda. We should be talking about water for every SDG. So water is really key for that, and I think you all know that. But I just wanted to make a quick reminder about that, and that's why 15 years ago, Mr. Guy Laliberté, who is the founder also of Cirque du Soleil, decided to create One Drop, right, with the ambition of be a catalyst in the water and sanitation sector. We said Cirque du Soleil reinvented circus, and One Drop aims to reinvent how things are done in the sector. And through that, we use art with impact, but also with purpose. And you will understand better how we do it in a while. Up to 2022, in 2022, we had 14 active projects in 12 different countries. And what we want to do now is to scale our work in Latin America and the Caribbean. So as you can see, we have a lot of projects in Latin America. We have a few projects in Africa, and we have one project in India. And I will just quickly share with you that One Drop's mission is to ensure that sustainable access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene for communities facing extreme barriers through innovative partnerships, innovation, creativity, and the power of art. And we aim to improve the living conditions of around 2.7 million people around the world once our projects that are active will be finished. But here is when I say that at One Drop we do things differently. We created a model named ABC for Sustainability, which aims, basically it's a systems thinking model, right? So we integrate different components, and the synergy among these components is crucial. So A stands for access, infrastructure, basically. B, it's behavior change. The Inter-American Development Bank has said that there is a missing link in WASH projects, and this is that we don't focus enough in the human. We don't focus enough in behavior change and in promoting good practices. So that's why at the One Drop Foundation, we created a methodology called the Social Art for Behavior Change, in which we integrate science, behavior science, and art to work with communities, for communities, and in communities to trigger behavior changes around water and sanitation practices, like hand washing or the payment of the water for the water service as well. The third component in our model is called capital, which is basically strengthening the local water and sanitation value chain. And I want to just to come back, the synergy of these three components, it's very important to have better outcomes and to have better impact. Now let me jump to Latin America. What we have been doing in Latin America in the past year. So for you to know, One Drop's first project was in Nicaragua around 14 or 15 years ago. So Latin America, we have Latin America at our heart. You might know the situation in Latin America. There is still, despite being one of the most advanced regions, there are still 160 million people that lack safely managed water source, and around 430 million people that lack access to safely managed safely managed sanitation facilities. And this is despite being the region that has the highest availability of fresh water per capita in the world. So to respond to this situation, back in 2016, we created a program called Lazos de Agua, where we partnered with the Inter-American Development Bank, the Coca-Cola Foundation, and another foundation from Mexico called Fundación FEMSA, which is a big corporate foundation as well. We wanted to have an impact in the region. We wanted to implement, and we wanted to put at the center of this program the ABC for sustainability and the social art for behavior change approach and models, both as I mentioned, developed by OneDraw. We built this partnership that as I mentioned, started in 2016, and that concluded, the first phase concluded in last December. So I want to share a quick video with you so that you understand a little bit more about the program, and then I will talk about the impact, the results, and some lessons learned that we have. Please let me know if you can listen to my video, to the sound, please.
What if we did things differently? What if we went beyond just investing in wells and water systems and focused on empowering people within their communities? We all envision a Latin America where everyone has sustainable access to safe water and sanitation. But 240 million people still lack access to this most basic resource, and 490 million lack access to safely managed sanitation. The Lazos de Agua program did not just start with the idea of closing the gap by investing in infrastructure. It was the lack of investment in sustainability that sparked it all. The program came alive through an innovative approach that puts people at the center of everything, using art to foster behavior change for the long term. This approach is about listening to stakeholders, communities, governments, artists, NGOs, private and public entities, about considering local contexts and cultures to co-create solutions with, for, and by the communities, about taking people's needs, behaviors, and emotions into account. We are now seeing strides made towards sustainability, when thousands of women like Liz in Paraguay can now fix their own plumbing issues, when Sakeo in Guatemala continues to mobilize his community to wash their hands to promote better hygiene and improve their overall health, when Maria del Socorro in Mexico uses puppets to create compelling stories that give her a voice to generate awareness around water issues, when resilient communities in Nicaragua have the knowledge and tools to rebuild their systems after the devastating passage of 2 hurricanes, when Jennifer, a Colombian self-made entrepreneur from a rural community, found in the project's workshops the tools to take her company to the next level and influence other women in her community to empower themselves. The future of the Lazos de Agua program is about so much more than improving infrastructure. It is about changing the way development investments are made in the region. Join us.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the impact of this program. And Caetano, is there any question in the chat, or I keep going?
No, we're good. We're good. Okay. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. So this program has been implemented in 5 countries in Latin America: Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Colombia, and Paraguay. And our initial objective was to provide sustainable access to water and sanitation to around 200,000 people. We overachieved. We provided access to more than 235,000 people. But that's just numbers, right? I want to share with you also how we move the needle in terms of the JMP, the Joint Monitoring Program from UNICEF and the World Health Organization. So at the baseline, we had 5% people that had access to safely managed water. By midline, we reached 48%, and by endline, we had 62%, which is a huge increase in terms of water services, right? Our original target was to reach 57, but if you see here in the graph, there are 62% with safely managed, but also we moved the needle in terms of some people, we brought them also to basic within premises, because in Latin America, people is no longer accept like community water systems, right? They are looking to have like household water systems. In terms of sanitation, you will see around the same, right? We started at 49, jumped to 63, and to reach 65 in terms of safely managed. But of course, you can see here we still lack, right? Our objective was to reach bring at least 30% of the population to basic, but we did not succeed in that, right? But still, we made good progress in safely managed, and we still have some pockets of open defecation, and that's because the program's main focus was water, and we invested less in sanitation. But that will be fixed for the second phase of the program. In terms of behavior change. Behavior change is crucial because you can have the best infrastructure, but if people don't use it, it's worthless. You can have the best systems, but if people don't pay for the tariff, it might become not sustainable, and it might just stop. Like people will just stop using it. So in terms of behavior change, the numbers, we reached around 250,000 people in the 5 countries with an initial objective of 190 people. That means that we also surpassed our objective. But the most important or interesting part, I think, for you is to show you how we created, or we put together a monitoring and evaluation system that supported us in the measurement of the uptake of behaviors, right? For example, hand washing, we started at baseline at 29%. We had an objective to reach 53% by end of project, but we reached 62%. How we measure this? There's a lot of people ask me, how do you measure this behavior? It's not easy, right? It's not easy to measure behaviors, but we did it through a household survey, right? You ask people if they wash their hands, they will say yes, most of them, right? They will say yes, but then you ask them, okay, when do you wash it? When do you wash your hands? If they respond at least 3 out of 5 possibilities for of the things that they learned in the workshops of social art workshops, then you check the box. But still, you will ask them to observe where do they wash their hands, right? And for it to be a positive answer, there needs to be water at the time of the visit and soap available. So as you see, you ask questions, but you also observe how do they do, or how if they have the necessary things to practice the behavior. In terms of the second behavior that we targeted in the program, which is the paying duly the water service tariff, we moved the needle from 47% at baseline to 83% at endline. with a 77% of a target. This behavior was new for us. We had never targeted, but we learned a lot with this behavior. And sometimes we assume that people don't pay because they don't have money, or because they don't receive a good service. But all of those are true. But also we learned that in some cases they just don't trust the water committee. So they ask themselves, why am I giving money to someone, and what do they do with my money? So sometimes it's lack of accountability that is a barrier for practicing this behavior. Sometimes it's lack of trust. Sometimes it's because they don't have money. Yes, that can happen as well. But this behavior is key for the sustainability of the infrastructure, right? Especially in rural settings. In terms of the third component, we were able to mobilize more than $400,000 in water and sanitation credits. So we worked with small and medium enterprises. We worked with microcredit institutions to develop products, financial and non-financial products, to strengthen the wash value chain in the countries where we worked. And we also have some unintended outcomes, right? Those that we never thought we were gonna get. At personal level, like agents of change that were trained through the social art for behavior change, they noted that the program contributed to creating opportunities to eliminate stress, acquire new skills, build new relationships. And they also mentioned through the final evaluation of the program that they feel more empowered, and some of them acquired leadership skills, right? So this is very positive. We didn't measure this in a systematic way, but these were mentioned in some interviews. Also at community level, the social art for behavior change activities permitted to increase community cohesion, because they have to come together to discuss problems, to find solutions to certain things. They learn to work together. They learn to solve conflicts and problems. So there was a lot of, they mentioned a lot of community cohesion. Also, it was mentioned in some of the cases that some other behaviors that were not targeted by the program are now practiced, like better management of water, like what else they mentioned? Yeah, mostly like water saving. They were working a lot on that. And in terms of the partners, they also indicated increased capacity in collaboration. Some artists mentioned that new work opportunities emerged from the program. Also, the partners on the field report better relationship with governments. Also increased management skills. And at the level at the ultimate level of governance, which is the founders of the program, they also reported a strengthened coordination mechanisms among the participants of the program. What did we learn from this initiative that lasted almost? That lasted almost more than 6 years. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, the integration of components A, B, and C, access, behavior change, and capital is crucial, right? Synergy is crucial to enhance the result of the program. You cannot ask someone to practice or to wash their hands where they don't have the infrastructure, or you cannot assume that because they have the infrastructure, they will practice the behavior. So this is key. Second, multi-sectorial approaches are complex, but they have bigger chances of being successful. So with this, I mean system-based approaches, and you need to involve not only the wash sector, but you need to look beyond the wash sector, right? we always tend to work with the usual suspects, but we need to think out of the box and bring some other actors to your program so that they can participate and collaborate with you. And we also in this same lesson learned, we built some public-private partnerships for the C component, which will continue working after the program is over. That's for sure. They created like this relationship, and there are these partnerships built. In terms of capacity building, planning, and coordination, what we learned is that as we created the ABC for sustainability and the SABC, we assumed that it's very easy to implement and to understand, which was not the case, right? We learned that we need to give more time for capacity building, and that also it should be a constant process. We did it, but we might have done it in a different way. For this, we created also a massive online open course that you can all access on social art for behavior change. And it's available in 3 languages, in Spanish, English, and French. Something that it's part of our model, like you need to contextualize and to understand the communities, what you are working, but you really need to do this in a very deep way. Sometimes we say, yes, we contextualize, we understand the communities where we are working, we speak their language, but sometimes we forget things. And so the lesson we learn is that, yes, we do it, but we can do it better. We can go deeper, we can understand better the communities, because then you will have more impact. In terms of, and also we need to involve members of communities in every step of the program, not only in the design, not only in the implementation, and even in monitoring, they can be involved, and they will be more empowered and of the program, and they will take more care of the infrastructure that we are building there. In terms of learning and adaptability, we use a lot of adaptive management, and in terms of, I would say that the biggest lesson learned under this category is that we created a very complex monitoring and evaluation system. Where we are not using all the data. We collected a lot of data, but we didn't use all of it. And also monitoring and evaluation, and this kind of data needs to be for decision making. If you use it to write a report, if you are collecting data to write a report or to write an essay, or you are not using it at its fullest potential, you really need to use it for making decisions while you are implementing. And what we learned is that for the next phase, we need to simplify our monitoring and evaluation system. We also learned that at the beginning, we were thinking more in strengthening the WASH value change only through financial products. But what we learned is that we can strengthen it in many ways, and the creation of public and public-private partnerships is key for that. In terms of communication needs to be part of your initial strategy. You need to include it in your design, in the design of your program, because communication will enable you to achieve higher results, to talk with different publics, and to approach different members of your stakeholders. And at the end, we also use some digital technology to reach our communities, but the digital divide in rural areas is still there, right? They still don't have access sometimes to fast internet, or so what we learned is that we need to use like very basic and low tech platforms such as SMS or WhatsApp. WhatsApp in Latin America, people is using WhatsApp for everything. So we found it to be a very good ally in the program. So that's it for the lessons learned. Now I just want to go back to why, right? Despite all these efforts that we are doing in the region, I just want to remind you the numbers of people still lacking access to water, sanitation. And excuse, because these numbers are not the same that in the video. These are the right numbers. The video has the wrong numbers, if someone noticed that. So we are preparing a second phase of Lazos de Agua that will run, I don't know what happened to my slides, but that will run from 2023 to 2030. The same conveners, we are backing up the program, and our ambition is to reach at least 1 million people in Latin America up to 2030. That will be our contribution to achieve SDG 6 in the region. I will stop there. I will just go to my slide, promotional slide. You can know more about the program in the site www.lazosdeagua.org, or you can also visit OneDrop's webpage at onedrop.org. So I will stop there, and now I will open the floor for questions, comments,